Hi everyone, my name is Jennifer, and today we're going to be talking about dating as an objectivist, or simply dating as a super hardcore Ayn Rand fan. I know this is super random, but I wanted to talk about the subject because every now and then on Twitter, Ayn Rand or Atlas Shrugged begins trending, and most of the time it's just trending because somebody's tweeting about how they would never date anybody that likes Atlas Shrugged, or that they would walk out of a date if the guy or the girl mentioned that their favorite book is Atlas Shrugged. Okay, in case you don't know, even though most people who watch this channel know, Atlas Shrugged is a novel about this railroad executive who's trying to find out why a lot of very influential people in the world are disappearing. You know, it's just like a regular story and it sounds pretty tame, right? But what people take issue is with the philosophical ideas behind this story. They're very individualistic ideas. So before we jump in, let's just look at some of these weird tweets that have popped up on Twitter throughout the years. First of all, Exhibit A.
So this woman tweeted, "You're on a first date with someone and they tell you the name of their favorite book. You immediately leave. What's the book?" And like the top answer was basically Atlas Shrugged, with this Clara woman tweeted, and a lot of people agreed with her.
And Exhibit B through Z.
So as you can tell, she's like, "Guess I'm not alone," because everybody retweeted this Atlas Shrugged. And then this person's like, "I like this guy on Great American Read posing with Atlas Shrugged so that women know never to date him." Another Atlas Shrugged hater. "And I'm going to rescue this poor woman whose Tinder date has talked about the new app he built working for Google and Atlas Shrugged." Again with the Atlas Shrugged hate. "When your date wants to read Atlas Shrugged, let me stop you right there. I lost interest as soon as you open your mouth." And when he quotes Atlas Shrugged on the first date.
So, is it true that people won't date you if you like Ayn Rand? Well, let's start with the online dating world, and I'll begin by telling a personal story. A few years ago, I was doing online dating. This was a while ago, like 2015, I want to say. And so I had my profile, and on my profile I mentioned that like I was a really big Ayn Rand fan. I think that's what I said. I don't have that profile anymore, but I definitely mentioned Ayn Rand. And believe it or not, a lot of the messages that I got were about that. And well, I'm just gonna show you what the messages said. The first one that I'm going to show you actually is from a girl, but the other ones are from men.
So she was like, "Hey, this probably seems odd getting a message from a girl, but I'm new to this site and I was just searching girls' profiles to get a feel for it. And I saw you mention Ayn Rand. I love her and clearly you agree. But I have already gotten messages from guys saying like, you don't seem like the type to read Ayn Rand, or asking for help on their philosophy papers. I just thought that was a funny coincidence, so I passed it along. Have a nice day."
And these are just a few more messages that I got there.
"Are you Russian? Most Russians I know speak a little French and like Ayn Rand." Oh, that's because I said I speak a little French. It's more like I can read French more than speak French. "Have you read Anthem by Ayn Rand? What in particular do you like about Ayn? Hello, fellow Randian. Why are there more male Rand fans than female ones? Does this correlate to messages you receive on OkCupid, that they may only praise your love of Rand to that of which I am guilty of? What distinguishes a good objectivist from a bad one? And aren't you not acting on your self-interest enough? Ayn Rand is a great novelist, but don't you think objectivism is a bit harsh? I feel like it couldn't possibly work because people want to help others." "Dang, you atheist and vegan, but you're into Rand? I can try to win you away from her in 20 questions. Oh yeah, I used to be a vegan."
As you can see, most of these messages are either neutral or positive. None of these men are saying, "Oh my god, you like Ayn Rand? This will never work." So maybe all these people who think that people who like Ayn Rand can't get a date, maybe they have it wrong. Among all of these messages, there was only one negative one. "You had me until Ayn Rand." So, is being an Ayn Rand fan really hurting your chances of getting a date? Well, I have news for you. if you're a guy doing online dating, it doesn't matter if you're an objectivist, a communist, a liberal, a conservative, it doesn't matter. You're not gonna get messages because you're a guy. Men just don't get messages. Women are the ones who get messages. Like girls, it doesn't matter if they're a communist, an objectivist, they could have 10 copies of Atlas Shrugged on their shelf and then showing it on their photo. Or they could post a bunch of douchey photos of them with their collection of AK-47s. It doesn't matter. Men are still going to message you. Why? Because you're a woman and that's how the internet works. But what about real life dating? Well, we'll get to that in a minute. First of all, I just want to say that if you're a guy, a man, wondering if you should mention Ayn Rand on your profile or not, bro, just go ahead and do it. It's not like you're gonna get flooded with messages if you don't mention Ayn Rand on your profile. No, you're the one who has to do the work and message the women and hope maybe one of them will reply. That's just how online dating works. I've heard from like men that do Bumble that even there, where the women are supposed to message the men, it doesn't really happen that often. Now, here's some real advice. Do not base your entire profile about Ayn Rand. That's just gonna make you obsessive. I mean, just in general, don't make your online dating profile about one single thing. People are just gonna think you're like fixated on the one thing. Right? Don't make your profile all about guns or all about Trump or all about Biden. Like, although that would be pretty lame if somebody made their entire profile about what president they like. Cringe, cringe. Like for instance, I was at this party a couple years ago and a lot of the people there were objectivists, and there was this guy who was talking about how he was doing online dating and he wanted some advice from the girls there, saying like, should I mention Ayn Rand? Because on his profile at that time he had something like, if you don't like Ayn Rand, don't even bother messaging me, it's not gonna work. So that's one of those things that like I would advise against, like, because real life works much differently than online, right? There's a lot of nuances. Like in real life, you might think you wouldn't like someone who doesn't care about Ayn Rand, but maybe you would. And maybe someone who thinks they wouldn't like someone who likes Ayn Rand, maybe they actually would in real life. Like for instance, those women who are tweeting about how they would walk out of a date if the guy mentioned that he likes Atlas Shrugged. Like, please, in real life, it would be much more different. First of all, like, we in general don't act the same as we do online. People online are much more bold than they are in real life. Like for instance, myself, whenever I watch a video about a Karen being like a Karen, like being crazy, like on the comment section, I'm like, what an annoying woman. If that were me, I would have told her to go fuck herself, right? But in real life, if I actually encounter a Karen that was like berating me or something, or I don't know if I would actually say anything because, you know, it's uncomfortable, there's people around, like we don't really act as bold in real life as we pretend we do online. For instance, a couple of weeks ago, I went to the movie theater and there was this Karen sitting like 2 seats away from me, talking loudly throughout the movie, even though before the movie played, they show a mini commercial saying like, don't talk during the movie, it's disruptive, people hate it. That message did not register on that bitch. She was talking throughout the whole entire movie and I was like, I should tell her to shut up, or I should tell her like, I'm sorry ma'am, can you be quiet? I was you know, really wanted to say something, but I didn't because I'm like, in real life it's hard to take those kinds of bold actions. The only thing I did, I went like shh, shh twice, but she didn't hear me or she didn't care. She kept talking. I ended up having to move like 2 seats over, and that actually helped. I couldn't hear her as much, but yeah, I mean, I have done bold things in the past in real life when dealing with annoying people, but not every time. Sometimes there's a lot of doubt that holds me back or whatever, you know, just the real nuances. And it's the same with in-person real life dating. People are not gonna be so sassy, so bold as they think they would be when they tweet those things. Like for instance, the girl who tweeted this, do you think that if she went on a date with Brad Pitt and Brad Pitt was like, Atlas Shrugged is my favorite book, do you think she would really walk out on Brad Pitt just because he likes Atlas Shrugged? Obviously not. But let's just leave Brad Pitt aside. Let's just talk about a nice, normal, regular guy. And he is charming. He's a gentleman. He's making her laugh. She's feeling the connection. She's feeling the chemistry. He talks about how much he loves his mother. He volunteers at an animal shelter on the weekends. He's pretty much perfect for her. But then later in the conversation, they're talking about their favorite books and he mentions he likes Atlas Shrugged. Do you really think she would walk out on that date? Do you think she would really be like, oh, I must stop you right there. This is a deal breaker. Peace out. Probably not, or most likely not. But then again, if he or she did walk out on you, you're better off. Because really, would you want to be with someone who hates the thing you love the most? Maybe you could be with someone who's indifferent to that thing as long as they have a healthy respect for your enthusiasm for that thing. But to be with someone who hates the thing you like the most, I don't know, could create a lot of friction. Now, before we end this, let's just briefly discuss Ayn Rand's views on love. What are her thoughts? What are her opinions about it? And I want to discuss this because if you are an Atlas Shrugged or Ayn Rand fan, it's very likely that you agree to some extent with Ayn Rand's views on love, and that's how you're gonna behave in your relationships. Maybe you don't, but it's likely that you agree with Rand. So if you are thinking about dating an Ayn Rand fan, this is what you can expect from dating them. For instance, Ayn Rand did not believe in unconditional love. For example, she didn't believe that if you married a person, you had to stay married to them no matter what. Like, even if they acquire a bunch of vices, if they completely change from the person you married, she didn't believe that you had to keep loving them, right? Like, a person has to be a good person for you to stay in that relationship. So Ayn Rand did not believe in unconditional love. Also, Ayn Rand did not believe in selfless love. And I'm not talking about like things like, oh, making breakfast for your partner without expecting anything in return. I'm not talking about that type of selflessness. I'm talking about, well, for instance, dating someone not because you like them, but because you feel sorry for them. Ayn Rand completely disapproved of that. What she believed in was in selfish love. So Ayn Rand would only fall in love with you and date you if she really admired you for your values, and being around you make her happy, and she just got a ton of joy out of your existence alone. I mean, who wouldn't want to date a person who has that kind of view on love, right? That you know that they're only dating you because they really, really think you are cool. Although, let's be honest, most people in the world date for that specific reason. But there are some people who don't. Like, there are people out there who have like a wrapped view on love. Anyways, there are more nuances to Ayn Rand's view of love, but we're not gonna discuss that today. If you're really interested, Google it. That's what the internet is for. Anyways, that was it for the video. I will be working on another new video very soon. I know there was like a really long gap from this video and my last video, but that was because I was moving. I am not in California anymore. I'm in San Antonio, Texas. And yeah, I'll have a little bit more time. Anyways, I hope you liked this video, which was just for entertainment purposes. And I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.